I'm Caitlin Kellogg. I am the College and Career Counselor at Garfield High School. Unfortunately, there's only 4 of us throughout the county, but we are growing. Our number doubled just this school year. There's only 2 college and career counselors last year, and there are 4 this year. So hopefully in the next few years there will be more, because they'll definitely beneficial to all students, not just seniors like some people think. This presentation today is on Family Connection. You might hear me call it Naviance. Okay, they're the exact same thing. Naviance is what the teacher side of things. Family Connection is the student side of things. So I usually try to stick to Family Connection, as that's the one that you'll work with the most, but I apologize if I do go back and forth, as I am used to calling it Naviance. All students in Prince William County, all high school students I should say, in Prince William County have access to Family Connection already. Their excuse me, login, I didn't pass you guys out the handouts. I'm so sorry. Hold on. All this information, if you want to just take some and pass them around, all this information that I'm presenting on today is right on this handout here. I'm not going to go in necessarily the order of the handout, but all the information is in the handout, so you don't have to worry about vigorously writing notes. I'm sorry, as I was looking around, I'm like, I didn't pass out the handout. So, as I was saying, all students have access, and as you see, when you get the handout on the top, their username is their student ID number, and their password is their 6-digit birthday. So just like School Fusion, except School Fusion is an 8-digit birthday. Okay, you don't need to include the 19 in front of the year, or in some students' cases, the 20. There is a link to Family Connection on every high school's website. Not exactly sure, it's a little different depending on the high school, so I'm just going to show you where it is on Garfield's, and it's probably somewhere in excuse me, the counseling webpage area. So for Garfield, you just go to the counseling department in Family Connection. And I'll take a second to open up. It is important, though, that you go through your child's high school's webpage, as that's where their information will be stored. So I just showed you where Garfield's was, but make sure you go to your child's high school's webpage and go through there. As I said, username is their student ID number, password is their birthday. Yes. We don't have parent accounts created yet. That is something that will be coming, but you can just use your child's information. Yep, good question. So that is something that will hopefully be coming in the next year or so, though, next few years. So a lot of things that you'll do on Family Connection are going to be college related. So a lot of people think, you know, I don't have to worry about it, my child's not a senior yet. However, that's one of the biggest initiatives that Ms. Schlater is working on, because there are so many great resources for all grade levels on Family Connection. So all students will sometime, hopefully this year, get on Family Connection in a classroom guidance lesson. Right now, the first part of the presentation, I'm going to talk about the college search aspect of it, how you would request transcripts. So it will seem like it is geared more towards the upperclassmen, but then we'll move into, you know, some of the features for the underclassmen for sure. So the first thing you'll notice, I'm going to be working a lot from the college's tabs. At the very top of the screen, there are 3 tabs: colleges, careers, and about me. So that kind of right there, if you don't remember how to get to something, you know, those are the general categories. Each homepage is going to look slightly different. You know, it might be a little different color based on your child's high school or a different welcome message, but all the functions within Family Connection are the same. So for colleges, every school has college representatives come to visit them, where students can come down to the counseling center, you know, wherever, the conference room, and meet with college representatives. Those college visits are listed on the Family Connection. As you can see, upcoming college visits right here. And if you simply click on View All Upcoming College Visits, there's a list of them. Now, if I was doing this presentation in October, there would probably be 30 lists right here. That's when the majority of college representatives do their visits. Right now, I only have 1, because that's, you know, college visit season is over. At Garfield, I do use this also as an opportunity to have students sign up for some of the things that we're doing in-house, some of the presentations. So that's what you'll see here. But simply, you know, as I said, there would be multiple colleges there, and that your child just needs to click sign up and then sign me up. And then you see that green box for a confirmation. Now at Garfield, that is, students are responsible for printing out that confirmation page, and that is their pass. Okay, they're not going to get a reminder pass sent to them that block. They will get a reminder email though. The system automatically sends them a reminder email, usually 24 to 48 hours beforehand, reminding them. I don't know how other schools work, whether they, go and then look in the list and send a pass. I'm not sure on that, but that's just, I know how you sign up. The pass system could be different at every school. So that's how you sign up for college visits. To do the college search, it's a daunting task. There's just in Virginia alone, which college you pick. So one of the tools that I use on Family Connection, and again is in the colleges tab here at the top, is Supermatch College Search. It's a different program embedded right in Family Connection. And even when students come down to my office and say, Mrs. Kellogg, I know that I want to go to a Virginia school. I know that I want this major. I know that I want this size. I do probably know more about schools than them starting their search, but I do the same thing right now. I say, let's go to Supermatch and we'll sit down together and look at it. As you can see here on the left, there are many different factors of things that your child can put that they want in a college. Okay, they can indicate something for all of those. They can indicate something for 2 of those. Obviously, the more detailed they get, the less schools they're going to get because it's going to match their exact needs. And I'll just give you an example. So location, for the purpose, you can select regions. So let's say I want to select the Mid-Atlantic region. However, I know for whatever reason I don't want to go to Delaware. I can just X that out, Delaware, so then it's Mid-Atlantic minus Delaware. Or I can add by single states. All you do is just click add next to that. Scrolling down further, and as you see, colleges are starting to pop up to the right. As you scroll down further, major. I'm going to click, maybe I know I want to be a teacher. So I want a bachelor's degree, and I want to major in education. Now, if I want my search to be pretty broad, I'm just starting the search out, I'm just going to do all education majors. As I hone in, as I narrow it down a little bit, I can type in early childhood education to get more specific and just type those things in. That is possible. And we can go down. You guys can see all the factors here. We can go down and get more specific, more specific. A lot of parents like this tab, the tuition tab, set a limit. Another great tab I think is the My Scores tab. It's great if a college pops up because it matches all your child's desires for college, but unfortunately they don't have the scores to get in. So that's why I do like this, to kind of keep the colleges that pop up with in their range. So I've put in a couple factors over here. Now on my right hand side you see it's coming up with a list of results. The first thing that I always tell students to do is expand those results to 250. Because a lot of times students will say, I know this college has what I want, but it's not coming up on my list. It's just because the list was limited. So when you do it 250, it pretty much gets all those colleges. As you scroll down the list, you can see, colleges will pop up, and you can just click the expand button, and it gives you just a quick minor snapshot of that college. Tuition, majors, average GPA, things like that. And from here, you can view the school website, request information. So there's many things you can do just from that little snippet without even going outside of this search tool. As you scroll down, you'll notice, okay, I need to put in more factors because hold on one second. Let's do school type, traditional, school size, we'll say mid-size. Okay, maybe it doesn't want to do mid-size. And we just froze. So we'll wait till it comes back and I'll explain what's these percentages mean. So as you scroll down, those 100% are going to decrease. The decrease in percentage means that they don't meet all of the requirements that you have put in or all the factors that you have put in. Let's see if it'll let me know. Nope. Okay. Hold on, let me just try to refresh because this is important to see. There we go. Okay. So as you scroll down, you'll see that the percentages decrease. From first sight, you don't know why they got an 89%, let's say. But when you click the expand button and scroll down a little bit, at the bottom, it tells you right here why why didn't you get 100%. So this particular school is not in the location exactly. So maybe it has all the other factors, so they just added it in because, maybe think of this school. It doesn't have the school size, so it might be bigger or smaller than what we put in as we wanted. But it still shows you so that your child can think about those things. There's a couple different things that you can do to compare these schools and kind of narrow your list down. You can click pin it, and it will come up in a list here at the top. So at the end, you can compare it with that drop-down menu. The other thing you can do is click on Add Colleges I'm Thinking About. And that is going to save it into your child's family connection account so that you can come back and look at that at a later time. And I'll show you how you access that list in a second. And then finally, you can save each of your searches. So, let's say that this search was that specific region, and you can just save the search, name it. I'm not going to do that right now, but name it. And so then another time you can come back to that search and look for that so that you can create many different searches. Maybe you're not sure, your child's not sure about the major they want, so they do 2 different searches. Or maybe they're not exactly sure the area they want, but they don't want to compare them together. So there's many different ways to weed things out in this search. Another thing that you can do, so I'm sorry, let me back up. When I clicked on the add to the colleges I'm thinking about list, that's just right at the top here, colleges I'm thinking about. And as you can see, I've added colleges before today, and those automatically come up in that list. And it's just kind of to remind the kids, so they don't have to continually go back and do the search. It's right there for them. And then depending on, let's say you started the search sophomore year and now we're in fall of senior year, you can move to application list. Oh, maybe you don't want to apply, so you're going to remove that list. Just things like that to kind of help them keep those lists a little bit more organized. Another way that you can compare colleges, as we saw on Supermatch College Search, you can put in your child's scores and GPAs to kind of get colleges in that range. But you can click on, and we're still in the colleges tab, scattergrams. And this is going to show a chart of applications from your child's school. I'm going to click VCU because it has the most applications. And display graph. And what you see here is a graph of Garfield High School, the people that have applied to VCU over the years. The green are the students that got in. The red X's are the students that haven't gotten in. And you can see it's on the left here is their GPA, and on the bottom is their SAT scores. And it kind of shows you these blue lines. Sorry, I forget I'm not on a projector. These blue lines are the average for VCU. Because I'm a test student in right now, as you can see at the bottom, there's typically a circle that is placed somewhere on the graph, and that's going to be your child's score. So you can kind of compare where your child fits compared to the people that have gotten in or gotten denied from that school. So that's another feature. As I said to the group before, I could spend 2 or 3 hours presenting on all the little things that you can do on Family Connection. Unfortunately, we don't have all that time, so I think I want to tell you the best thing I think you can do is go home and just play. As you can see under the college research tab alone, there are just many different things that you can do to compare, to see graphs, to see charts, things like that. So I highly, highly recommend that you definitely take advantage of that. So, fast forward, we have search for colleges. Now your child knows which colleges they are going to apply to. They will apply through the college's website, or if the college is on the Common Application, they will apply through the Common Application. You will know if that college is on the Common Application because when you go to the college's website, it'll take you to the Common Application. All the Common Application is what it sounds like. You put in the same information once and then click the schools that you want to send that to. Some of the schools are going to have supplemental information. It's really to simplify things and not save time for your child to have to fill out their name and address 5 times over and over again. The major schools, there are some, not all schools in Virginia are Common App, but some of the UVA, VCU, so they are on the Common App. So you will submit your applications and then your child will request their transcripts. To request the transcripts, you'll go to the colleges tab, and on the left-hand side, click on transcripts. This is one of those things I was saying earlier to some of the folks beforehand, is that there are 2 or 3 ways to request transcripts for Family Connection. You might find another way as you're playing around. I'm just kind of going to show you the most basic, straightforward way right now. So you click on transcripts and then request transcripts for my college application. At the top, you see these are colleges that I've already added to my list to say that those are the colleges that I'm applying to. So you can do one of 2 things. If there are colleges in your list already, just click next. Click on the box that says add request. However, if there's a new college that has come up that might not be in your list, or maybe your child didn't create a list yet, you just simply look the college up and a box pops up. All the Virginia colleges are right there as a quick picker. If it's out of state, you just need to type the name in. So we'll click Christopher Newport. And then so I've selected a couple from my list up here. I've selected Christopher Newport, and I click request transcripts. And there you go. Okay, those transcripts are requested. Now, at Garfield, we ask that students give us about 2 to 3 weeks before the deadline notice, so they request the transcripts ahead of time. The reason for that is when your child requests transcripts, it's not an automatic button. It's not just like it goes to the college automatically. There are things that the counselor has to fill out. A lot of schools you'll see as you're applying to college, excuse me, request secondary school reports, school profiles, things like that. So that all gets sent automatically with the transcript, so that's why it isn't automatic. But we will see that in the computer.
Is there a status on there?
Yes, yep. If you go back to transcripts, view the status of all my transcripts, and you'll see, requested, pending. If it's sent, it'll say submitted for sure. Yes?
How long can we and our students use this portal? Because many of us will hope to use Nova colleges in order to help our children mature and spend a little less money. If we're to go into the 4 years.
Yeah, good question. I'm not exactly sure, in terms of transcripts, once your child graduates, the transcripts to be sent anywhere have to go through central records through the CAHIL. However, in terms of Family Connection, just using the other resources about it, I am not sure how long after graduation their username is good for. Someone asked that in the last session. I need to ask that question because there are features on here that are definitely helpful for years to come. In your case, with your specific question, if your child attends Nova and then is planning on transferring after 2 years, their transcript from Nova will be sufficient to go to the 4-year college. Yeah, and that would have to go through central records, unfortunately. So yeah, good question. Yes?
These extra things that have sent me transcripts, as parents, can we see those before they actually go?
The school profile is, that's on all schools' websites already. It's just the breakdown of the classes that are offered. The secondary school report, and that's where they fill out the child's schedule, maybe some grades. Typically, parents don't see that. There is something that colleges prefer, and that is to waive your right to see recommendations and requests. That's just I've had parents. It's kind of unsettling because you just send things without letting the parents see. But what the college's purpose for that is that they know that the recommenders and whoever's filling out those forms are being completely honest and they're not worried about what the parent is going to say. With that being said, we tell students, obviously ask a teacher that you have a good relationship with to request the recommendation. I think it'd be a case-by-case basis, and that would be something you need to talk to your child's counselor about to see those specific documents, for sure. One last thing in terms of transcripts. We talked about the common application. If your child is applying to a college via the common application, they must match their common application account with their Family Connection account. If they do not do this, we cannot send their transcripts to those common application schools. It's not like it's a policy and, because we're down to the deadline, I'll just fudge it this once. The computer will not let you even click the button. It is totally grayed out. So, to match your common application account with your Family Connection account, there is a tutorial video on the homepage of every Family Connection. It doesn't matter which school your child goes to, right down there. And that tells you how to match it. But I can give you the Family Connection side of things. On Common App, you will have to create an account, and there is a tab that says Recommenders and FERPA. That is the release, the authorization to release your educational records, like HIPAA in the healthcare, but it's FERPA. All your child has to do is just go through those little, I understand, yes, I authorize, check the buttons on on Common App. Once they've done that, then they can come over to the Common App account. On the Colleges tab, click on College I'm applying to. Unfortunately, for another presentation, I've already matched my fake Common App account with my fake Family Connection account. But this box right here that says Common App matching complete, that obviously will not say complete, and it won't be blue, and there will be a box for your child to put their email address that they created their Common Application with. So the email, hopefully, their only email address, they'll put in there and they'll click match. Then they'll get this box that says Common App account matching complete, and you're good to go. That means that we can send transcripts to the Common App schools. The most likely thing that will, if they get an error message, the most likely error message they will get is that their FERPA has not been signed. And that's just what all they need to do is just, as I said, go back to the Common App account and find that. And that is all detailed on the video on that homepage. But it's very important. We have a lot of students that forget to do that. If the application's already submitted, though, on Common App, the FERPA will definitely be signed, because you can't submit it without that, for sure. Yes? Yes, back to, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. Transcripts. So for college transcripts, the first 3 that your child sends are free. After that, they're $5. NCAA transcripts and scholarship transcripts you need for scholarships are free. When I say the first 3 are free, it's a tongue twister, excuse me. I mean the first 3 schools, because we send the initial transcript, we send a mid-year transcript, and if your child is attending that school, we'll send a final transcript. Those don't count as 3. It's per school. So those first 3 schools that you request are free. After that, they're $5 per school. And those at Garfield, it's paid to one of our counseling administrative assistants. It'll depend probably on your school. It depends on the school. It really varies school to school. At Garfield, our rule of thumb is we're going to try to wait for the payment, but if the deadline's getting close, we're not going to hold it because of that. And then it'll be at the kind of end of the year type of thing. We'll make sure we collect all the dues. Yes?
When a school by submitting an application and a transcript, will the school get you a report basically if your kid isn't accepted? Will they give you a report indicating you're short here, or whatever?
So kind of 2 questions or 2 answers. So once you submit your application, you request your transcripts, your child also needs to send their test scores, whether they take the SAT or ACT, and they have to do that directly from the College Board website or the ACT website. A lot of colleges have a student portal of sorts where you can get on and see the status of your application. So the application might be complete, you know that everything's in, now you're just waiting for a decision. Some colleges don't have that, unfortunately, so you might, if you're not sure about the status, you need to call the admissions office. Some colleges, very few colleges, will call and say your application is incomplete. You need, X, Y, Z to finish it. Do not count on that. Not many colleges do that. If it's an incomplete, they just don't review it. It's done. Even if it was purely a mistake, you just forgot that one document. In terms of a decision, so once your application is complete and they review it, you will get a letter whether you've been accepted or denied admission or put on the wait list or whatever.
And if you're denied, will they give a reason for that?
Not necessarily. You could call the admissions office sometimes. I had a student that was denied for Virginia Tech early decision, and he got the letter, and he took it upon himself to call, and they told him when he called why, but in that initial letter, they did not give him a reason. Depends on the school. Some schools are rolling admission, so they look at it as soon as they get it, and you'll get a response within 3 to 4 weeks. Some schools they wait and they look at them all together, and so it could be months because at least a month or 2. So it's totally depends on the school. Alrighty.
As far as the counselor's end of it and Naviance Family Connection, and you just said you send the transcripts to each school mid-year, initially and then mid-year.
Yep.
So is that something you guys do automatically?
Yes, you don't need, once your child has requested that initial transcript, the mid-year automatically gets sent, and then at the end of the year, they'll just need to go back on, and we go back into senior classrooms and talk about this. They need to indicate the school they're attending, so then we just send the final transcript to that school.
Okay, what about in general? What are things that you guys automatically do, and then the students need to make sure that they automatically do that, you're not going to do? Do they know that as far as requesting transcripts and that, you know what I mean? Like, is there a protocol or something that you guys follow and definitely do that they're aware of?
Not necessarily. You can assume that with the transcripts, that school report and the general required materials that come with a transcript from any college are sent from the counselor. After that, it is up to the student to send the scores, to request letters of recommendation, all of that.
Okay.
Which brings me to my next point. A lot of high schools, this might not apply to every high school. In the next few years, it will apply to every high school. It's just the system is newer, so not all high schools have adapted this part. But if your child needs a letter of recommendation, and you will request that also through Family Connection, and that is colleges I'm applying to. And if you scroll all the way down, it says teacher recommendations, and you click on add and cancel requests. When a teacher, so you'll pick their name from the drop-down list. For the majority of schools, that list is mass populated from the system, so all the teachers are in it. For Garfield, we had been doing it for 2 or 3 years before the mass update came, so I had added manually those teachers, and if a teacher is not on the list, a student will just come to me and say, hey, I want Mrs. Smith to write me a letter of recommendation. Can you please put him on the list? I don't see her on there where I can request it. So you can write a little note and then scroll down and click update request. I'm not going to do that right now because my teachers will probably think, why is Caitlin Kellogg asking for a request? One thing I tell my students, the teacher should not receive an email for the very first time, an automated email saying that, Johnny requested a letter of recommendation. Beforehand, I suggest that my students go to the teacher. Would you feel comfortable writing me a letter of recommendation? A lot of teachers are going to ask for some sort of activities resume or talk to you about what you want to be in the letter of recommendation, and then go ahead and submit that official request in Family Connection. When the teacher uploads that that recommendation, that will automatically get sent with the bundle of the transcript, the school profile, things like that. But it's up to the student to request that.
And
Yep.
then the teachers know what to do.
Yes, yep, teachers have been given instructions and things like that, for sure. Excuse me. Yeah, so teachers, and that's the other thing, when your child talks to the teacher, they need to say, I want a general letter for all colleges, or I know you're Virginia Tech alumni, can you please write me a letter just for Virginia Tech? The teachers, when they upload, have the option of selecting all applications or individual schools, so the child just needs to let them know. The default is all applications, so. Alrighty. I'm sorry?
All applications, is it better for individuals or?
The majority of my students do all applications. I think I have 2 off the top of my head that I know of that did, and that was because the teacher was an alumni, but the majority do all of them. Yep, for sure. All right. Obviously, a hot topic is scholarships. College tuition is expensive, and any extra help we can get is great. So there is a scholarship list that is managed at the district level. There are about 10 of us that have access to that scholarship list, and anytime that we get emails or letters or anything with scholarship information, that is updated in the scholarship list. So those are scholarships that are available to all of Prince William County students. The other difference is there are scholarship lists at the school level. So maybe there might only be a scholarship that an organization is offering to a Hilton student, or only the Garfield Athletic Boosters is offering. So that means the counselor at those schools will add it so that only those students see it. When your student logs on, they're going to see it all together, though it's no different. But just so you know, the Hilton scholarship isn't out there for all the schools. It's just for that. So to get to the scholarship list, you're on the colleges tab, scroll all the way down, and click on scholarships list. The scholarships list is not as easy to search and manipulate as maybe some of the college search tools. unfortunately. However, once you get through it once, and I'm going to show you kind of a, hopefully an easier way, we'll say, to get through it, you can make it a little less daunting every time. So you can browse by category, as you see here. However, for example, I'm going to click on scholarships that juniors can get, and I'm going to browse those. So those are definitely scholarships that juniors can apply to. However, it is not guaranteed that there aren't scholarships in the overall list that juniors can apply to that don't show here. We, those of us that upload the scholarships or put the scholarship information, try to be as detailed as possible, check all the boxes as possible, but it's not as user-friendly as some of the other search tools in Family Connection. So my suggestion is, to the first time that your child logs on to Family Connection, unfortunately, go through every scholarship by just clicking on the link. It'll bring up the scholarship description. Sometimes there's a website, sometimes there's going to be a download for if it's a paper application, and decide if your child is eligible for that scholarship. And then go back. It's not going to let me. And go to the next one and go down. Scholarships that your child is eligible for, click next to them. And you can scroll all the way down and click Add Selected Scholarships to My List, and then Add Scholarships. So that way, when they come back, and I'm back to the My Colleges page, there's scholarship applications, and those are all the scholarships that they have saved, okay, so that it's a little easier to come back to. However, let me go back to the scholarship list. Once your child has gone through all those scholarships for the first, gone through all of them once, the next time that he or she logs on, they can click on Only Show Scholarships Added or Updated Since My Last Visit. I just did this last presentation, so that's why none of them are showing. So it only shows the new ones, so you don't have to comb through that list every time. So that first time, it is going to take some time, unfortunately, but each subsequent time, it should be a little easier. And I know students get tired, and it kind of gets tedious, but I say, one scholarship will pay for books for a semester or 2 semesters. It really does go a long way, and a lot of students kind of ignore those scholarships that are only maybe $500 and not $5,000. But those little scholarships are going to go, you can get 3 or 4 of those. It's going to go a lot further. So I tell students, apply to any and all scholarships you are eligible for. I had an alumni panel at Garfield yesterday, and an alumni came back and was talking and gave the same advice. Apply to any scholarships that you are eligible for. And she told the audience, the current student, she said, I got an Asian scholarship last year, and I am not Asian. She was not one bit Asian, but she got an Asian scholarship. There are scholarships for everything. There's scholarships if you are left-handed. There are scholarships for anything. So read the description. If you're eligible, apply. And as you'll notice, as you're starting to apply to more and more scholarships, if there's an essay, the essay questions are very similar. The short answer questions are very similar, so you can kind of just alter it as you go. The more scholarships you apply to, the better chance you'll get to get anything. All right, we talked about a resume, and that sometimes when you ask for a letter of recommendation, teachers are going to want that. Or, if the child is applying for a job, sometimes you're going to have to submit that. You can create resumes on Family Connection and the About Me tab. Just scroll down to resume. I really like our resume builder because you can create many different resumes at the same time, if you will. So the resume that a child submits to a teacher to write a letter of recommendation might be a little different from a resume they submit to get a job. Okay, there can be a different objective or things like that. But you can do that in Family Connection because you can save different resumes. So to add an entry to your resume, simply select the drop-down box next to Add New Entry, and these are all the categories where you can add entries to. You can add entries to all the categories. You can add entries to 3 of the categories. It doesn't matter. It just gives them the option to add those. The other thing I like is we'll click on Objective for an example. A lot of students, this is obviously their first resume. They've never had to create a resume before, so they have not the first clue what a resume is, or maybe what a resume is, but like what to include in a resume. So if there's not someone nearby that can help them, this tells you what an objective is, some appropriate objectives, kind of gives them some examples. So they would just type in their objective, maybe a little more detail than that, and it shows up on the objective list. As you see, I have many objectives here, and that's from other times that I've come in and edited this. And I'm going to show you how I select what objective I want in the next screen. And as you see, there's just random things that I have put in as I've done, given different examples. To create the resume that you want, you click Customize Your Principal Resume. As you can see, these right here are saved resumes that I've already created. Today we're going to click Create a New Print Format. And you'll name it, so maybe we'll name it Recommendation or Letter. And then you can view the examples, which style you want it. But then you can select which objective you want. So this is the objective for getting a job, so I select that. I want this this summary to show up, not the other summary. So you can choose how you want. As I said, you can customize each resume, and you would just name it as you save it, so you know which resume that is, and you would click Save and Close. Last year when I was giving this presentation at the Parent Summit, I actually had a father say, "Can I create a resume on my son's account?" Sure, why not? Just make sure you save it as dad so that the son's not submitting your information. But I'm not going to stop you from that. So it's really neat. And then the one thing I do want to caution you, when you go to print, you do view print, you'll see it comes up, and you just do like a file print. The default for many computers, it's going to print the web address on top of your resume, which obviously you don't want. So you just need to make sure that you go into preferences, however they're set up, and make sure if there's a box that says add header, it's unclicked, or make sure that the header is not added. And that's how you can submit the resume. The other thing is when you build resumes, counselors can see that. I apologize, I don't know if teachers can see it when they go to do letters of recommendation, but counselors can see those to do letters of recommendation, so they have, if the child has forgotten to give them a resume or some information, they can already see that in the computer to do that. Yes?
The sample objectives you have here, is that under yours or?
Like the to get a job ones, I've created those. However, when you click add a category and click add an objective, on the right hand side of the page there will be tips that could guide your child. Yeah, for sure. So obviously all grades could use the resume. As I said in the beginning, we kind of talked heavy on upperclassmen senior year. I'm going to show you in the next few minutes. I think we have a little under 10 minutes left. I'm going to show you a couple more things and then hopefully give you guys a chance to answer questions. One thing that, as I said, Naviance is newer and we're trying to get it more into the schools because I know a lot of people say they have not a clue what Naviance or Family Connection is. I go back and forth until they get to their senior year of high school. And the resource I'm going to show you now would be so helpful before senior year. Mrs. Schlater put a committee together and over this past summer, and they developed curriculum that for each grade level, it'll be implemented in each grade level in the next few years, so that we're getting students on Family Connection as soon as freshman year, so that it's not this big mystery when they get to senior year. And they'll do some things along the way, and as I said, there'll be a lesson for each grade level. Depending on the school, your child may or may have not seen that lesson yet, depending on where you are in the school year as well. One of the things that we do with our freshmen is the cluster finder in the career interest profile. Depending on the school, they'll do one or the other. They're very similar in that they ask students' interests. What do you like to do? And I'll just click on one of them to give you an example. So you just click on those selections. If you like to learn how things grow and stay alive, you click on it. If you don't, you leave it unchecked and move on to the next thing. So students will go through that, check their interest, and at the end, click submit, and it'll give them results. Let me get back to show you what the results look like. I'm going to go on this one because I've completed this one. In these, when I say view occupation matching list, these are the occupations that match the interest that I put into the computer. And it ranges from little or no preparation all the way down to extensive preparation. Okay, so your child can kind of see where that fits in the scheme of education. So let's say your child might be interested in medical assistance. They click on it because they might not know a lot about it, but they think it sounds cool, and it gives them more information. There's many different tabs, related occupations, but one of the things that I really like is related college majors. Okay, so they saw that they like the job description of medical assistant, but as you know, we're not going to go to college and get a bachelor in medical assistant. So it gives them ideas of majors to go in, fields of study to go in to get to that route. So that's really neat. And you can find colleges with those degrees or with those majors. So this is, I clicked on a specific career, and it gives you an overview of that career. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, it's medical related college majors. And then the other tabs, wages, tasks, and activities that are associated with that career. And so you can do that, get to that by doing, the interest profilers, and so the careers that match your child's interests come up. But you can also, on the careers tab, explore careers and clusters and just type things in and search them so that they get information about those different careers. So that's really neat. Yes, yep, that's available to all students. Yep, under the careers tab. It's actually under the About Me tab as well. It's in both places. Another thing we're doing that's in the junior curriculum is the Strengths Explorer. So doing a survey and then getting down to are the introvert, extrovert, feeler, or sensor, and how their character traits, and then it'll kind of connect it with related career paths and things like that. And again, brings it all back to a similar. Then you click on the career, and those types of things will open up again. So the sophomore class are going to be introduced to something called Road Trip Nation. Garfield hasn't gotten into this yet. We're going to do that in April, so I'm not 100% familiar with it, but it's basically there are many different videos from famous people that your students may or may not be interested or may or not be familiar with, and just talking about their paths or their career field, different things like that. So it's very neat. And as I said, I could do a presentation for hours and everything on there. And I'm on this every day, and I'm still learning new little things. So the best thing is just to get on and play and see what it has to offer.